everyone, welcome back to the recap of now my round 5 of 6 tournament of my Minnesota Open, and I have been really busy because just yesterday I concluded another 7 round tournament. Um, so today and tomorrow I'm gonna try to record all the recaps for this tournament and then get started on that. It was fun. It was state K through 12 championships for our state. I already said that, and yeah, no, I had a good time. Um, but anyways, to this game. So some backstory, which is that this guy, uh, got a he was like 1700 when he was a kid, quit for like 20 years, came back to it. And at the time of when I was facing him, his rating said 1750, but I learned in hindsight that he was actually 1895. So this was my highest win ever. And as of recording this, I'm aware of this, but at the time, I just thought he was a 1750. So sorry for the spoiler, but I did win this game. And I would actually love to show you how. So e4, obviously, playing the most provocative. C4, and he plays this, and immediately I'm like, okay. Um, I have a large amount of anti-Sicilians that I've used in my past, which is C3, um, D4 straight away. I've even played A3 at some rare points, or the close Sicilian. But I decided let's get a fight going. I want to try to fight this guy. So we get a Najdorf. Actually, our second Najdorf in a row, just colors reversed. So now I'm on the white side of a Najdorf. So I choose the English attack. It's a lot more provocative than what my opponent chose last round. I'm playing mainline instead of, playing this weird thing with G3. E5, knight B3, bishop E7, F3. And then he went H5. So I know this is a line, but it's one of the ones that I'm less familiar with. I mean, obviously the idea is to stop and neutralize G4 so that when he gets his attack rolling, then my attack will never be able to really get off bounds. But in the few minutes I took to just assess what he was playing before I chose my response, I realized that severely weakened. Sorry. That it severely weakened the G5 square, and then after something like H4, I was curious, as to really like where his counterplay is, because I'm still gonna find a way to break through with G4. And in fact, it probably has more venom, because after here I'll just shove my pawn forward. Um, so I just castled, which turns out to be theory here, and then I went H4, continuing the plan. Computer wanted me to break forward, but I didn't even think of this idea for a while. Queen C7, clear intentions to break down on the C file, so I move my king out of the way. Common, it's a free move in opposite side. Hold on. Yeah, it's a free move in opposite side castling games. Where basically, when you castle queen side, your king's way better on B1. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. So we're gonna go move the king to B1, and here was the first point because after he went rook c8, it's a good move. And we have some pressure going down the file because obviously point of the Najdorf and why I play it, you get a lot of attack, you get a lot of pressure. Like as black, you definitely have good potential pressure here. Um, as white though, I mean, objectively, I prefer playing on the black side of the Najdorf, but on the white side, I'm very confident. So here I had my first think of the game, and it was hard to figure out exactly what to do because I knew that this bishop was probably going to be annoying, but it could always go to here at some point. But mainly the main things I was assessing was that this square will always be weak. For my knight to come, I'm anticipating this and this. So at this point, I was planning, okay, well, what am I going to do if he does that? And I just figured like I'd probably put my knight back to here, or maybe even here, and then like you know b6 at some point. So I was pretty confident in this position. I'm like, okay, objectively it's equal. If not, I have a slight edge. So I went with the simplest option to develop a bishop. We go knight here. Hello, can you stop showing me best move? Okay, he goes knight b6, and now I put my bishop on g5, playing okay moves. Again, I wasn't really trying to focus too hard and playing perfectly. Like, I wasn't like, I could spend 20 minutes and find a slightly more accurate move, but I just want to play simple. Um, and he made the first inaccuracy of the game. So I pretty quickly realized this was bad because I have a bad bishop, and this knight just moved one time, two times. So he just wasted two knight moves. And after I take, because what else am I going to do? He's attacking my queen. And my bishop was bad anyways. So after I take, I'm like, he just lost the tempo and a bunch of knight moves. And now after queen takes, maybe his idea has some pressure down here, but he hasn't even got started with b5. And, at this point in the game, I realized, wait a minute, he doesn't want a castle. Because think about it, he has this many like pieces and pawns in front of his king. He's actually quite fine here. Um, but here I realized that he actually just straight up doesn't want a castle. And that was definitely a revelation for me because I'm like, oh, so the game plan has changed. So I'm like, okay, well, let's keep it that way. I took here. I spent about 8 minutes calculating this move because logically, if bishop takes, we put our queen, we take this pawn for free. But after pawn takes, I couldn't really like find a solid follow up. I'm like, well, okay, I could probably put my knight here, but then I realized after takes, my c2 pawn becomes weak, and it was just hard. But I'm like, okay, the first thing I've accomplished is that king is staying in the center. He has this little fortress. My king's definitely safer, and I'm like, okay, well, how do I get this king? G4 too slow. It's only if the king was here. So eventually I came up with this with f4. The computer says I should, bring a rook to the center and not rush f4, but I wasn't so convinced. F4, b5, knight a5. Point is, I want to get the queen out of here. I thought it was annoying. He goes back to here, and I thought it was fine. Allegedly in the game, it says that he had offered queen trade, which I mentioned him after the game, but I don't know. I'm just going to an endgame. The queen attacks this, and the next move is actually quite obvious, which is that I can either go, okay, that was dumb of me to move here, or we can move forward, guard it, and try to get rid of some defenders. After takes, and he goes rook g8. I thought this was really slow. Like in the game, I'm like, okay, well, first off, what's he doing? Because, king's just stuck in the center. Um, so I put my knight here. Just thought this was an obvious move. I only played this move in like 4 seconds. I'm like, okay, well, how's he get rid of this knight? Now I attack the bishop. Bishop moves. I realize that he wants to put his bishop here and annoy me. So I put a rook in the center. Inaccurate, but whatever. He makes one back, and I move my queen here. And at a low depth, the computer said it's a mistake, but in hindsight, I was like, I didn't think there was any other move. Just guards the pawn, and the computer wants me to just straight up go here and say that the pawn doesn't matter because like I have enough positional compensation. Like I'll get this pawn. I don't know. I wasn't so convinced. I was trying to be mostly materialistic. So I went here. And this was definitely a really weird move for me because I'm like, okay, well, why is he moving the king onto the same line as my queen? So I took. I open up the file. Pawn takes. I'm like, well, where are his defenses? So I go after the bishop. If the rook were to go here, I just check and simply pick up the bishop. And I thought that if the bishop were to move back, probably just go here and like win this. So I was quite convinced that I was quite convinced that I was better after this. And if you want to see the line, after rook here, check, king can't move anywhere. This moves back, I pick up a piece, and the game. So yeah, no, I thought that okay, well, I'm definitely posing some hard tactical questions, like, and it's difficult. I couldn't even see his follow-ups, so I was curious to see what he would do. And he went here, and here I spent a solid like few minutes because I saw a very obvious move, but I was like, there's no way this works. No way it works. And it does work. G3. The idea is really simple. I want to get the bishop out of the way and I want to open up the G file. Here's the idea. Bring the rooks on the G file. And yeah, no, it's just getting bad for him because I'm making threats to just sack here. Like it's a very serious thing. And if the bishop ever moves, he'll just lose to taking here. And look, everything's restricted. His queen can't come in because of my god knight. Like I'm just positionally destroying him. Anyways, I checked him here. Very simple idea. I want to move it. If this takes, it gets pinned. I take here. He really only has one move, which is king here. And then I played the move that caused him to resign, which is I sacrifice the rook. Boom! Rook takes G3. One on the spot. He resigned. He extended his hand, resigned. And this was fast. Like I'll swap over to the review here. No, it was a fast game. I had a 95 accuracy. He had an 85 accuracy. And no, I don't know. I mean, if you want to actually see the analysis here, like the first point, well, yeah, like the first point that it really was bad was maybe around, you know, this point, around right here. If you can't, it's +3 right now. Hold on, let me turn on the lines. Yeah, it's the computer at a low depth doesn't really understand it, but if I put on max analysis, yeah, it's just +2. Like I'm just destroying this guy. And yeah, no, it was a good game. It was best win ever, and I was definitely very pleased with this game. And I was in a very good mood going in round 6. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.